Example 2. There are 2 photocopy machines in an office. The first machine produces 5 copies in 8 seconds. The second machine produces 16 copies in 24 seconds. Are the 2 machines making the copies at the same rate? Now the first strategy that we're going to use is to use a tool I like to call equivalent ratios to determine if the rates are the same. First of all, they give us rates at which the copy machines produce copies. We can take those rates and write ratios that would represent them. So if I look at 5 copies in 8 seconds, I can write that as a ratio of 5 to 8, where 5 is the copies and 8 is the seconds. The other ratio would be 16 to 24, where 16 is the copies and 24 is the second. To be equivalent ratios, we need to multiply both terms of one ratio by the same factor and get the terms of the second ratio. So if I look at this, the 5 and the 16 and the 8 and the 24 need to be multiplied by the same factor. Well, I know that 8 times 3 is 24. However, 5 times 3 does not give me 16. So therefore, we can conclude that these machines are not making copies at the same rate. Now another tool that we can use to solve this would be to make a ratio table. A ratio table is a table with equivalent ratios in it. If I take the first ratio, where the first column is copies and the second column is seconds, and I could make a list of equivalent ratios to it, I could multiply each of these terms here by 2, and the next ratio would be 10 to 16. Multiply that 5 to 8 by 3 and get 15 to 24. Multiply that 5 to 8 to 4 and get 20 to 32. Now I could keep going, but I don't really need to. Finally, I see that 16 to 24, that other ratio, that from that rate 16 copies of 24 seconds, is not included in this table. If it were, they would be equivalent, but since it's not, they are not equivalent ratios, which means they're not making copies at the same rate.